couple of introductions to our awesome extra special guests today. These are the authors of Be More Kid. We have Mark and Nicky. You can probably guess who they are. Give us a wave. Professional relationship and behaviour experts. They are the only couple in the world to have achieved the prestigious titles of master trainers of both NLP and hypnosis. And they have changed thousands of people's lives using their easy to learn, practical, empowering mindset and behaviour tools, many of which they share in this book and are going to share with you guys tonight. Then we have Ed James, broadcaster, literally just come off the air, I think, haven't you, Ed?
Yeah, I have. That's how I used to look before lockdown happened. Now, it's been a tough year. What can I say?
We can only see from here up, so it's fine. It's fine.
Oh, that's good. You don't want to see any further down, I promise you.
So Ed is an NLP master practitioner, having first trained with Mark and Nicky back in 2016, and always had a passion for self-improvement and how successful people do what they do. So these guys are going to be running, Ed's going to be talking about the book and the concept of Be More Kid, and then Nicky and Mark are going to be running a workshop, the main workshop for us tonight. So I'm going to hand over to you guys if you're ready.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're ready. We're good to go.
Very much indeed. Very nice to see everybody. So Mark's now going to share his screen, I think, so we can talk you through.
Of course, Ed.
Are you going to be doing the next slide thing, Ed?
Hold on. Hold on 1 second.
We need to go backwards in time.
Guys, while we can actually let's talk amongst ourselves. I haven't actually said it yet, but usually we like to chat in the chat box, don't we? So everyone who's here, why don't you let us know who you are, where you're zooming in from, and
great idea.
And share one of your favorite memories from being a kid, something that makes you smile when you think about it. And if you have any questions about what's going on or anything, then you can put that in the chat box, and I'll be manning that tonight. That's my job.
There we are.
Perfect.
Good.
So Ed, over to you.
Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, really nice to meet everyone. Thank you everyone for spending your Monday night with us. This should be a lot of fun, and we should be learning a few things as well. So yeah, that's great. Please kind of say hello in the chat box, because we'd love to connect on social media as well afterwards. So I'm not going to bore you with the introductions. I think Tony has done a fantastic job already. Just the one thing I wanted to say in terms of Mark and Nick, they are actually the only man and wife master trainers of NLP and master trainers of hypnosis in the world. So I think that's a little round of applause, because that's hugely impressive. And that's the kind of expertise we're going to provide you with this evening. So that's who we are, me, Mark and Nick, in a Be More Kid shoot we had earlier on. The big picture. So what tonight is all about, we're going to give you an overview of the book Be More Kid. We're going to talk about how it came about. We're going to share a few of our personal stories as well, because I don't know, life sometimes isn't easy, and the three of us have been through some stuff. So we're going to share that with you, because the exercises and the concepts in the book have really helped us. So we absolutely wanted to write the book, and we absolutely hope it helps you too. And then the fun bit, we're going to go through some key takeaways of the book, but then we're going to do an exercise for you to try out as well. And we're going to work out just what stage you're at in your life, what's not there that you'd like to be there, and how we can make your life more fulfilling. That's the idea. So you will need for this a pen and a piece of paper. Right. How did the book come about? For those of you that have read the book already, and there are a few on the call, so we hugely appreciate that. Thank you. The picture on the left is my daughter, Jamie. She no longer looks like that. She's a proper big girl teenager now. But when she was 5 or 6 years old, that's what she looked like. And you'll see that she's wearing a cast. And this is absolutely where the idea of the book came from. So she was 5 or 6, and she fell, or was pushed, we're not quite sure which, off the top bunk. And she hit the ground. There was I remember it. I was downstairs at the time. There was an almighty thud. There was a scream. I ran upstairs, and if you're a parent, you will know the blood drains out of you. It's a horrendous time. And it was an obvious break. Because you know when an arm doesn't look like an arm, and you think, okay, that's a trip to A&E now. And from that horrendous thing, what startled me and what I remember to this day was her attitude. So she cried when she first fell and it was broken. That was the only time, the one and only time she cried. After that, she just had an attitude that was just inspirational. Nothing fazed her, nothing stopped her, nothing slowed her down. She relearned how to do everything. So, for example, she had this big, cumbersome cast on, and she just relearned how to do the everyday things. She opened drawers with her other hand and used her head to close them. She just had a brilliant attitude. She loved going to school to show everyone her cast, and all her friends signed their name on it. She just, and I still think back now and I think, what an incredible way of handling something that could have stopped her. And I compared that with how I may have handled that. And I'll be honest, at the time, I may have gone, oh, why me? Why does this have to happen to me? I just thought I was getting somewhere, and now I've been put back and can't go to work and can't see anybody. I'm no good to anyone. I'm just going to stay at home and probably stay in bed and probably overeat. And it's the old thing of, it's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it. And that's absolutely what Be More Kid, and indeed what life is all about. So her story was the absolute inspiration. I then thought, okay, I need to kind of own this because I've got a concept. NLP was a thing that I'd heard about, and I was really interested in it. And I went through at this time a situation where I'm thinking, I need to start to do the things that I've always said I'll do. So I put into the internet, who are the best NLP trainers in the world? Up popped Mark and Nick. I enrolled on the course, and that is me and the other picture there getting my certificate for a master practitioner. Mark and Nick, actually, you might not know this, but Nicky, we spoke for the first time exactly 4 years ago today.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
4 years ago today is when we first had a conversation. And yeah,
like longer.
And you remember where do you remember where I was, Ed?
Pardon?
You remember where I was?
I don't remember where you were.
I was in India. I was calling you from Goa.
Oh God, yes, you were actually. Yeah, that's right. Amazing. 4 quick years. And on the course, I learned loads, and my head was just expanding. I started to fizz with all these ideas. I remember it was Mark actually who said, "Right, Ed, what's the dream? What is the goal?" And I just, sometimes you get asked a question and you answer it and you don't think. And I just said, "I want to write a best-selling book." And Mark went, "Okay, great. Well, you need to put a plan in place. You need to start to work towards it. How long have you had the idea for?" And I said, "Quite a few years." He went, "Well, you need to actually be in control of that, move from effect to cause. And actually, we can really help you with that. So when you're ready, call us and we'll start work on it." And I thought, that sounds amazing. We all got on really well. I made the call. We all met up. Mark and Nick said, "There's so much you can do. What about all this?" And we just started to work on it. And every time we met, there was so much energy, and we came up with a concept. So that's where the kind of idea came from. And it was a concept which we'll explain in a bit. But we had this concept, we had this idea. I then went through some pretty shit times, which was interesting. And that's the next picture. So the Sainsbury's bag there is basically what my life looked like 4 years ago. I had a relationship breakdown. I was the dad of 3 kids, as I still am, but I had to leave the home. My business went bankrupt as well because of fraud due to a co-director, which coincidentally was also my partner as well. So it was a general horrendous time. I got a bill from HMRC for £1 million. There was a police investigation as well because it was horrendous fraud and they thought I was involved. I wasn't. But when the rug is completely pulled out from under you and you go, this is just horrendous, and every single day worse things seemed to happen, and the clouds were starting to form, and it was just tough to get through every day. And then I thought, well, hang on a second, you've got this idea for Be More Kid. If there's ever a time to see if it works, now is the time. And that's what I absolutely did. I thought, well, hang on, what should I do right now? And there's various parts of this, but one of the big things was you've got to live every day. You've got to be involved in the day, be present, and actually involved in what's happening as a kid would. So you think of a child at play, they're not thinking about the end of the week or the next day or a year's time or what may or may not take place in the future. They're all about where they are right now. And that was one of the key things that really helped me get through a pretty tough time. And then I shared this with Mark and Nicky, and they've got their own stories as well, which they're going to share now. And it just kind of proves that we all go through some stuff, but it's how you find your way through and the tools you need to help you on that journey.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. And you know, those things that Ed experienced there, I mean, they're pretty major things in life, aren't they? But I think we all experience challenges at different levels, but that doesn't mean to say they're more or less important or more or less impactive. Because what happened with me was that I was a career civil servant. That was, you know, that was almost my dream job, and the ability to keep getting promoted and, you know, changing roles. And that's what I saw myself doing for my whole life, really. And I'd even wondered what kind of retirement gift I would get, you know, when I'd done my 40 years and I was ready to leave. But what actually happened was back in 2010, I was on my way to work. Mark was driving me. It was just not far off this time of year, another sort of 21 days, and that will be the anniversary of it. But it was on my way to work, and a car drove into the back of us. And I actually I got Mark to phone them up because the ambulance came and took us into hospital. And I said to Mark, can you phone my manager and tell them I'll be back in tomorrow? Unfortunately, it was another 9 months before I got back. And, you know, I went on to find that I wasn't as healthy, or I didn't recover as quickly as I thought. And I wasn't able to cross the road by myself. Couldn't do any cooking by myself. Couldn't operate any kind of even ticket machines, couldn't think of my words. And it was a really challenging time, but we actually used what we teach to get me back to full recovery. And rather than it being the end of the road, which is what it felt like, actually it was an enormous opportunity to actually help people who are in similar situations or situations which are similar but perhaps different, and help them move forward with their lives as well. So actually, rather than it being the end of the road, it was actually the start of the road for me.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's a train, which is an interesting thing to get for mine. But for me, what happened to me is throughout my life, I'd been actually seen as being the strong one. I was the one that other people came to for help. They sat on my settee and told me their problems. Then after the end of my second marriage, about 20 years ago, I know I don't look old enough to have had two marriages. I must have been about 8 when I had the first one. But about 20 years ago, I was diagnosed with clinical depression after having suicidal thoughts. And I was just so full of sadness, which was really interesting. It came from nowhere. And I spent about 7 weeks of my life just sat on my settee trying to work out the meaning of life. And the recovery as such, it was sort of 1 step forward, 2 step back, and then two steps forward, 1 step back. And it was just sort of rinse and repeat. But bit by bit, I put my wheels back on the wagon, and I got back to what we call the grown-up trap. And some of you may know the grey zone. And so I got back to the hamster wheel. And then 13 years ago, I fell ill. And that was when I was with Nicky then. And it was as if all of the energy had drained from my body. And that resulted in me being diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome. If anybody knows of that, it was pretty devastating at the time. And I was told that I may spend the rest of my life in a wheelchair. And again, the recovery from that was 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And people kept telling me, oh, there's light at the end of the tunnel. But often that light wasn't the end of the tunnel. It was actually what I'd say was another train passing, coming the other way. That was the light that I saw. And that actually then became the title of part 5 of the book. Now, I came to the conclusion that over the years, I hadn't dealt with my stuff. And, you know, I was full of hurt, I was full of sadness, and that caused me a lot of procrastination and overthinking. You know, I used to be inside my own head. And let's face it, we're not taught how to deal with our emotions. So we do the best that we can on our own. And often we suffer as a result. And it wasn't until we learned all the mindset techniques that we now use and teach that I actually dealt with the root causes of my problems, cleared up my stuff, and found the light at the end of the tunnel, which wasn't another train. So all of the book as such is based around us and our experiences as normal people. So we put some of these stories throughout the book.
Thank you, Mark. Teresa has said in the chat, you only look 21.
Hey, Teresa.
Teresa, I know you don't believe that.
Teresa.
A friend for life.
Could be a marriage proposal.
Brilliant. So there are stories. So we absolutely come at this from a place of we've been there. We've been through some horrendous times. And that's life, isn't it? We will all go through those times, but it's what resources you can find inside you to help you get through them. So we had a concept for a book. We had a lot of experience. We then thought we needed to do some research. So we spoke to a load of adults and a load of kids. And the pictures there tell their own stories. That's what the adults said they were like. They were having a tough time. Stuck is a word that kept coming up and up and up. I'm stuck. I'm not where I want to be. On the face of it, it's okay because I've got a house, I've got a car, I've got kids. If you looked in at my life, it would look all right, but I'm unhappy. I'm not fulfilled. I've got this emptiness inside that makes me think, well, is this it? Is this what I've worked so hard for? I'm not energized. I've got no passion. There must be more to life than this. And without exception, so many people felt like that, and that's how they explained it. Conversely, when we spoke to kids were just bloody excited about everything. They were excited about the sun being out or the rain being out. No matter what was happening, the kids were excited about it. And that just gave us more just passion for the fact that we've got something here. Because why do you lose that? You lose it because you start to overthink and you start to behave in a certain way. And our mums and dads don't help with this. We're told to grow up. We're told to dial down our dreams. We're told we can't do what we want to do. And that's the way we're brought up. And then school drills that into us as well. And then we get on this track, and it's the grown up trap. And we start a career and we try and work hard, and we get a house, all the rest of it. And then we go, this is not what I want at all. So the whole idea of the book then is to basically turn the self-help industry on its head. It's not about learning anything new. It's about unlearning all the unhelpful habits and behaviours that all of us have had to take on board over the years, because that's what society and our parents and our friends tell us we have to. But the kid that we saw there, and the kid you used to be, and we all used to be, is absolutely still inside us. And all we got to do is use the tips and techniques to set them free. And remember what fun was about, and passion, and remember your dreams and your goals. So this brings us on to the Be More Kid philosophy. I'm sure you do. Tony, you remember fun. And that's what it's all about. We will all know people that give off this energy. It might even be you, or it might be your mum, your dad, or your brother, or whoever it is at work. We all know people who have a zest for life, and they're just full of fun. And yeah, they have off days and days that are tough, but absolutely they love life, and life loves them back. So the Be More Kid philosophy is broken up into the 4 P's. So we got playful, look for the opportunities to play, be creative. Think back to when you were a kid. It didn't take much. It was a stick, but it was a gun. It was a fairy liquid bottle, but it could fly to the moon, because it's all about imagination. And if you can imagine things to the unconscious mind, it's as good as it being real. You ask questions. You be the kid that everybody wants to invite to their party. Second P, passion. You've got to dream big, feel free, give 100% to everything, be a real enthusiast in life, and make it your mission to leave every single person you meet every day happier than when you met them. Be present. Again, we've talked about this. You think of a child at play, they're completely immersed in whatever it is. It could be the most boring thing, but they love it and they're concentrating on it. They're not on their phone like we all are. They're not thinking what's going to happen. They're not anticipating something bad that's going to happen, which which is easy enough to do. Be excited, live life to the full, and keep things really easy, but also allow yourself permission to say no. So instead of being a pleaser of people, be a pleaser of yourself. When you get offered an opportunity or someone asks you to do something, do you want to do it? If you want to do it, great. If you don't, just say no. You don't have to say yes to please other people. And then finally, purpose. Put your hand up and get involved. Find out what really drives you. Think back to what you did as a kid, what sport you played, what instrument you played, what you loved to do, what was your hobby. And lockdown now is the perfect chance to reconnect with all of that and start to do things you used to do. And I think you might find you'll have the same love for it as you did, and that can have a huge effect on our lives now. So basically, we want to escape the grown-up trap and live life to the absolute full.
Brilliant.
On to procrastination.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. So when Tony was asking us about presenting one of the chapters from the book, we had a look through and we thought, well, what do we think is perhaps the most apt chapter that you would get the most value from at the moment? And so the one that we chose was chapter 3, which is actually called Procrastinating. And the reason that we chose this chapter is because to begin with, procrastination is something that everyone experiences. So we all procrastinate at some point in our lives, and as it says on the screen, it says it's the destroyer of our goals. It's actually the graveyard of our dreams, because our best ideas, if we don't use them, we procrastinate over them, they just don't happen. So the procrastination that we have actually stops us from having our lives the way that we want them to be.
And this was Ed with his book until he came on the training. He was
100%.
procrastinating over the book, because procrastination is the thief of our time.
Yep. So we thought, how useful would it be for us all, really, when we were writing the book, to really understand what's behind procrastination? So what is it? So once you know what it is, you can actually do something about it, because if you don't understand what you're procrastinating over or what's causing that, then all you're doing is you're just battling through it. And if you're using your willpower to battle through stuff that's going on, then it's hard work, basically. Yeah. So that's what we thought we would talk about today, because especially with the challenges over the last 12 months, I think it's easier than ever for us just to put things off.
And I think some people have still got a 2020 hangover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd use the workshop this evening to get you all motivated.
To start thinking about what's the plan.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about chapter 3.
So it's important to know that in the book, we actually look for root causes rather than symptoms. That was one of the things when I was ill. I realized that what I was trying to do was cure symptomology. And we've got a saying, life's like a game of whack-a-mole, that the mole would come up, it hurt, so I'd hit it with a hammer, oh, it's gone away. And then it would come up somewhere else and I'd hit it again, oh, it's come up over there. And so rather than dealing with things, that I'd just actually pat them down and look for them to just disappear, and then they come back up again. And so what we look at during the book is how do we sort out the root causes? Now, one of the root causes of procrastination is often a result of overthinking, because worry and fear of things not working or not turning out the way we want them to.
And there's even a thought sometimes of the worry and fear of what if you actually succeed, because that can actually be, quite worrying for people, because it could mean a change in your lifestyle. It could mean really stepping outside your comfort zone. And so that's something else that people are concerned about and worried about.
Absolutely. And then there's conflict as well, because that's when sort of part of you wants an outcome, but another part of you doesn't. Because the problem with procrastination is it's a stuck state. You're not moving forward. And often people will feel sorry for themselves, avoiding what they know they actually need to do. And they find the reasons why they can't or won't do it. I've been there when I deliberately avoided doing things like our accounts in the past. And you do everything else, and sort of kid yourself that you've got sort of more important things to do.
But the interesting thing is with procrastination that it doesn't just affect the things that you don't want to do. It also affects the things that you do want to do, which is the thing that's even more puzzling, I suppose. But I think the thing to appreciate about this is that we're not talking about deliberate avoidance here. What we're talking about is something going on unconsciously for people. There's often a pattern, or there's something running in the unconscious mind, because your unconscious mind will always work with positive intent for you. So if there's some consequence which there's some fear on, or even guilt potentially, then that's a reason why sometimes people just don't do what they need to do.
And often some of the more of the reasons why people sort of get into procrastination, overwhelm. Overwhelm's a really big problem, whereby there's so many things going on that need tackling, or it's just too big to tackle and we don't know where to start. And so we can often lose sight of what's the outcome. What was it that we really wanted to achieve?
And one of the other things we talk about in the book about the root cause of procrastination, sometimes it can actually be about lack of organization. You know, sometimes people just don't have a plan to get them from where they are now to where they actually want to be, so they don't really start. And I think that was something that Ed was experiencing when he was thinking about how he was going to actually get the book written.
And 100%, I absolutely, because you know, everything you've said there is how I was, and I went through all the emotions of, I've had an idea, do I share it? What if you guys thought it was a crap idea? How would I then feel? And this idea I'd had inside me, what if it was popped just by that one conversation, when for years I've thought it was amazing? And then I thought, well, why am I going to share it if it's my idea? And then I just thought, well, have I got time to do it? And then I thought, well, what will everyone else I know think if I do this? This is not what I do. So my head was going, and then I just thought, fuck it, just start. Just be brave, be really open with the idea. And I've just put in the chat now, it's the first step. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to think of the end goal. We didn't even think about a publisher or any of that. We just thought it's a great idea. We've all got a lot of energy around it. Let's just start. And what we thought would happen did. And that's, once you take the first step, you start to see the other steps. You still don't see all of them, but you see the next one. And that's what's important.
And that's a really good example that it's just given you there of overthinking.
Yeah.
Oh, I did it low.
What ifs.
He was very good at it. Yeah. He doesn't do it anymore. So
I've been taught well.
the thing is, people often use negative emotions such as panic, stress, as a strategy as such to get themselves motivated. Now, we don't think that's a good idea, because when I had the chronic fatigue and the clinical depression, I was just full of emotions. Now, emotions will have it's for another time, but storage of negative emotions in your body is bad for the body. It really is.
There's and we talk about that in the book, don't we?
With the mind-body connection. And so we'd suggest that you don't leave things to the last minute and then use panic or fear or whatever else to get going.
Yeah, I mean, it might get you your outcome, or you think it might get you your outcome, but often if you leave things until that 11th hour, often what can happen is you don't actually end up getting the outcome that you wanted, because sometimes you've left it so long that you don't actually have time to plan. All you're looking to do is, well, you don't get a chance to even do it properly. So it doesn't actually serve the original purpose that you decided to do it, because what you're actually doing is you're being motivated by the consequences of not getting it done, which isn't a good thing.
One of the big things that we see about people who are procrastinating is they do things like comfort eating, because they make themselves feel better. They distract themselves from the nagging voice. Unless that's just me who's got that nagging voice.
Yeah. No, that's you're not talking about me.
Oh no, as if my love. And then that nagging voice that they're not doing what they should be doing, and to fill the empty inside of not achieving what they're capable of. And often people they'll comfort eat to sort of, I don't know, in our experience, fill that hole inside that they feel.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it doesn't work. And something else, from the research that we did for the book, and also from the learnings that Mark and I have done over I think it was 9 years in total we were doing our training before we became master trainers. But a lot of the problems that people have regarding procrastination is actually they're putting it off because of their own beliefs about their own abilities or their own capabilities. And because they don't believe in themselves, they're, first of all, they're not sure they're actually going to be able to achieve it, a bit like what Ed was describing there. And some of it is also about other people finding out. And in the workplace, that's often called imposter syndrome.
Yeah. And then there's the busyness trap. You see this actually when people start their own business, with the busyness with a Y in the middle. And people get busy doing all sorts of things, anything other than the task that they should do. A lot of the time when people start a business, it's things like sales or getting on the phone and talking to people.
That's the bit they don't want to do.
They don't want to do that.
So they do the nice bits.
They do all the nice things, like they have business cards printed.
Or they design a logo.
Or they have a website, they build a website. They do everything except do the one thing. We get this with the people we train as coaches, that they'll procrastinate until such time as we give them a size 11, because they'll do all these nice things that they like.
Choosing nice photographs for their website, which is all nice stuff to do, but it's not
the important stuff, though, is it? It's not the stuff that's...
But they're busy, and they use it as an excuse. They use it as an excuse that they're too busy to get whatever done.
But the interesting thing about that is that often they get so busy doing busyness that, I feel that should be spelt with Z's, Mr. Taylor. But they get so busy with busyness that they actually get into a cycle when they don't then actually have the time to do the things that are important. They then become overloaded and overwhelmed with all the stuff that they don't really need to do, but they've just got caught up in it.
And it can be, and don't get us wrong, we understand it can be even more challenging at the moment with everyone working from home and exercising at home, homeschooling, everyone, needing to be fed. There's so many competing issues at the moment.
Yeah. So we're not going to talk about, some of the things around that today, because that's other chapters in the book. But what's worth doing, just as a side tip really, is it's worth just reviewing the tasks that you've got and just seeing how many of them you actually need to do. Because if you've read this chapter, you will see that there's a story in chapter 3, and it's about me doing things like ironing the underwear and ironing the towels, and all
who
the stuff.
irons underwear?
I used to, Mr. Taylor. And
did you put a crease down the middle?
No, no, I got the creases out. But the reason behind me doing it, because when we're talking about root cause, one of the things that my dad has always said and still says is that you never let your standards slip. Because if you take the first step of letting your standards slip, where will it end? And I'd always got that in my mind. So for me, it was always like, well, if you let the standards slip by not ironing the towels and not ironing the pants and socks, what's going to come next?
You iron socks as well?
I did, yeah, I did. Don't do it now. I don't do it now. I hardly do any ironing at all now. So just as a side tip, have a little look at the tasks that you're actually doing, and just only do the ones that are essential for you. Because if you give yourself a break and don't do the things that are not essential, you could perhaps actually use some of that time to relax and do some of the stuff you do want to do.
Absolutely, because often we can lose sight of what the real big picture is. Well, we can lose sight because of our previous programming, because like Nicky's programming with her dad, we can lose sight of that and we forget what we're wanting to achieve, and we can lose our motivation. So we just end up juggling everything, and it just becomes very stressful.
Yeah.
Now, this might sound a little controversial, but we don't believe in the work-life balance, because a lot of people go on about work-life balance. We actually say, why should work be as important as life? It's actually just part of life. We believe work is just one of those other areas, like your relationship, your health. And so we believe that it's not about having this notion of balance with work. Yes, work is important because you've got to get the money, the life tokens to do what you want in life. But there are different areas of your life which are equally important. And what happens is, as we go through life, things change, as we all know. And it's quite interesting because when it always makes me laugh, and those of you who've got children will chuckle along here, when somebody is having about to have a baby and they say, it won't change my life.
Everything will just carry on the same as it was.
Everything will carry on.
Yeah,
exactly
nothing will be
the
different.
same.
I'll still do all of the things that I used to do before. Still go to the gym. I'll still advance in my career.
And so what we think is that life changes. And so therefore, what you should be doing is constantly analysing life and not look for this striving of balance, because it's spinning plates. Trying to be perfect in every area of your life is just spinning plates, and it's stressful. So what we actually think is that you should sort of review your life, and you should have a tailored life.
Hey, nice plug.
That's the name of our training company, coaching company.
Yeah. So we think you should tailor your life for whatever you wish to achieve
100%.
at any one time, whilst having you have a plan to maintain areas of your life, but you realize and make it conscious that one area may be more important at a specific time.
Yeah. So what we thought we'd do today is to help you reconnect with your bigger picture, because it's different for everybody. The exercise that we're actually going to do is around what we call the wheel of life. And some of you may have come across this before and may have even used it. But what we do is we add extra layers into the exercise to make it even more useful. And in terms of its purpose for doing it this evening is really to create a starting point for you guys for creating a plan for overcoming procrastination.
Now, this is a process that we start every year, every year of our life. What we do is we go away. We started off going for a weekend in Wales, and we do an audit of our life. And so we do this individually to start off with. So we examine, and now with this wheel of life as such, you can put any areas within the wheel.
Just for speed, we've pre-written it for you. But if you were doing this yourself, then the things to put in there, the segments, need to be areas that are important to you.
Yeah,
personally.
what's important to you in your life at this moment in time.
Yeah.
And it could have 8 segments, 10 segments, 7 segments. It doesn't have to have just 6 segments like that. So we'll just work with this one tonight because it's got sort of chunked up things which most people do find important to them in their lives. So what you do first of all with the wheel, and I say this is what we do. We started off going for 2 days in Wales. We now sort of, when we could, this year we couldn't. We had to do it at home, but we went 3 weeks to Spain the year before last.
All right, fun, isn't it?
It's getting more elaborate as the years are going by.
You might as well enjoy it.
Yeah.
And so what we do first of all with each of these areas is we look at them and we score each segment. So this would be a good thing for you to do now. So this is why you were asked to have a pen and paper. You can draw the wheel if you want. It's up to you, or you can just write down health and fitness, finances, family, relationship, personal development, and career. And you want to do it quickly, folks. You want to do it quicker than your conscious mind can process. So it's the gut feel, you know? So
don't overthink it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
So and this is the exercise that actually actually when we did this on the training with Ed, this was the one where he actually thought, crikey, the book's important to me.
Yeah.
And it's not figuring anywhere. I need to put this into an area. So it's about getting, so first of all, everyone do that now. Just score it from 0 to 10. So health and fitness, 7, finances.
The number that pops into your head is the right number.
It's just, some of you will attempt to overthink it.
It works better because this really is an unconscious process. So the thing that feels right, or the first thing that pops into your head, is the number out of 10. Yeah, with 10 being the very best it could be and 0 being the very worst it could be.
Normally when we do this, our relationship's probably a 2 or 3. I score that.
I forgot to say, Mr. Taylor's got a very unique sense of humour. So we'll just give you
word for it.
Yeah, I could think of other words, but
I can think of other words too. Yeah, so the important thing here is it's not where you would like it to be, it's actually where it is now. That's why it's
where it is now. Then what we want to do once you've done that is number each of these segments in order of importance to you at the moment. So is it your career that's most important, followed by health and fitness? Is it the family that's more important?
Yeah.
Followed by finances? And again, this needs to be done quick. All of this needs to be done quickly, folks, because if you do it too consciously, you won't get the right result.
What you'll be doing is you'll be analysing it consciously, and then you don't then start to look at some of the root cause stuff that's going on, the unconscious stuff.
This is about gaining insight.
We're pushing you through it quickly, just so that you do the exercise as quickly as possible.
So now what we want you to do is put the percentage of time roughly that you spend on each of these 6 areas. So against each one. Now there's only 100%, so it should add up to 100. So we could be seeing people taking the shoes and socks off to add up. But so what,
I'd have to get the
what percentage,
out.
So on your career, is that 50% of your time? Now, when we're talking about it's 100% of available time, because you'll be sleeping for some of it, but yeah, so of the percentage of time available to you, what's roughly the percentage,
So just spend a moment doing that.
Have you got any questions that have been in the chat, Ed, that you wanted to comment on?
Well, this is an interesting one. So Tony has just said she'd love to see Beyonce's wheel. And a few people, including me, have absolutely agreed with that. And that's the interesting thing, isn't it? And in terms of these wheels, they can absolutely change through your life. So I imagine years ago, work for her was the be all and end all. And it's, if you look back at how she's attained the success she has, she's just put the work in over years, and she's grafted, and she still does. I was reading a thing about her that even now, when she does a gig, she will go home afterwards and re-watch it frame by frame and look where she stands, look where the band are, and she will go through it and make notes on it, and then send the notes to everyone else involved in the whole stage show. And it's one of those, if that is your aim, that's how disciplined you have to actually be. So I would imagine that kind of work was huge for her at the start, but I would probably think it's really key and really, really up there for her now, because you don't get to sustain a career like that without putting all the work in.
And then the other areas, potentially things like family, she's maybe got people in to help her.
Yeah, she probably has.
Because you couldn't do all of those things without, with all of those plates spinning.
So, right. So that's the first bit. So score each segment, number them in order of importance, and then the percentage of time spent on each. So you'll have those 3 scores against each one. Now, the thing to ask yourself now is what does this tell you? What does this tell you? And what do you need to do about it? This should start getting you to think, right? So for instance, if we use Beyonce, for instance, and let's say that she'd put career down, family down as number 1 most important, career number 2, but yet when she looked at the percentage of time, she's spending 80% of her time on career. Well, that should be telling her something. That should be right. So what is this assessment, this audit of my life actually telling me about my focus? Because this is what we're looking at. What we say, folks, is your life will grow where your focus goes.
So just as an example, I mean, I didn't have the benefit of doing this when my girls were younger, but in terms of what the insights I got from this years later, looking retrospectively, was that I literally used to drag my girls round to one club after the other. This is not nightclubs, by the way. This was for them. They used to go to tennis club, ballet, tap, swimming lessons, gymnastics, you name it, they did it. They played instruments, and I was doing it for family, but actually it didn't give me the family time with them that I would have experienced if I wasn't doing that. And we were all really stressed, really tired. And actually I would have been better putting my focus into something else.
So what we're going to do is, because this is a good thing to reflect on, we're going to put you into groups. Tony, are you doing the breakout rooms?
Yeah, I can do that from here, I think.
Go on then. Tony's going to put people into 3s, are you, Tony?
We're going to do 3s, yeah, in case some people are kind of not on the screen or whatever.
So we're going to put you into threes, folks, and just have a chat about, but we'll give you 9 minutes, because that's 3 minutes each. And so,
Good math.
yeah, thank you.
9 minutes. Okay, it's actually 3 to 4, so some people might have to speak a little bit quicker.
But it's share whatever you wish to share about, right, so what is this telling you about your life? What's it telling you about where your focus is, where it may need to go instead? And what do you need to do to actually start changing things so you're getting what you want? And maybe actually it's pretty good.
And just feel free to only share what you're comfortable with.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not asking you to share stuff that you're uncomfortable with. So, you know, it's just really a reflection which will help you to take the learnings from this exercise.
Nicky, you're much kinder than I am. I normally make people share about things they're terrified about. Right, I'm going to open the rooms now, guys. So you got 9 minutes, right?
Get it all, warts and all. 9 minutes. We'll
Let's go.
1 minute warning.
There we go. Let me make sure everyone's in a room.
It's when everyone disappears.
Oh, so one of them will be you and at your other screen. So let's make sure.
Taylor, we've got one person who's still not gone, which is Gen C.
Yeah, that might mean that she's not actually kind of on like watching or something at the moment. She's in the States, so she usually does it on her lunch break, I think.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We've sent Ed to a room. Is that okay?
Oh no.
Careful what we say, because we're still
Are we recording, are we?
Yeah, we are. Actually, we'll stop the recording now. We can pause it for the minute.
Secret.
Right then.
Yeah, so 30s. I always think it's funny when the room's closed and it's as if someone's just got a crook and pulled you. It's like,
yeah, it's like a shepherd's crook, and they've been forced.
Strange, isn't it? Especially because you might be halfway through sharing your biggest life secrets.
yeah.
Yeah.
We had it with
Like, bye.
we had it with people who were doing techniques like NLP techniques, and we kept telling them you've got to work to time.
Yeah.
And somebody was sort of 30 seconds from completing the technique.
And they got
They just went back to the main screen.
Thanks, everyone's coming back now. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hi, Maria. Nice to see you. Oh, who had Ed in their group? We want to know what he was talking about.
Are you damaged? Do we need to debrief you?
No intervention required.
I just talked a lot, as usual.
No, never.
I hope I didn't bore you guys.
When you're back on the spotlight, here he is. Sorry, Ed. I didn't mean to send you to the rooms, but I feel like you've got some good value.
Well, I did. I'm not sure if the girl.
Okay. Right, I'm going to let you guys get on with it.
And he doesn't want me. So what insights have we got, guys? What anybody want to share?
So we're getting to share them in the chat group.
Yeah, in the chat. Yeah, if you want to share something in the chat, I noticed that a couple of people Emma said, yes, my second most important area gets no time.
Yeah.
That's interesting, isn't it? How something which we think is our second most important thing in life, and we're not actually making time for it. And somebody else said my third one gets not a lot, but my least important gets quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, keep sharing your insights, and then we'll talk about them, at the end of the
So hard to have a treat. Yeah, I think the thing is, Maria, it is a case of it is different times, and what I would say is just go with what is now and what's important to you now and what you can actually do, because we always focus on, in any situation, the things that we have control over, the things that we can influence, and then we forget the rest. And so within that, we then make sure that, so if family is important to us, as Nicky said before, we'll make sure we do Zooms, and Nicky's got a Facebook group with her daughters and a mother, no, WhatsApp group, which they all do it in. So So it is different at the moment, but it'd be good to do it now and then afterwards, because it's about focus. It's about focus. Workers swooped in to pick up the extra time. Yeah.
Because it seemed, and that's an important fact, because at the start it seemed that we got so much time back in March, and then all that's happening, because you had all that extra time because most people were not traveling anymore, and you know, I don't know about you, but certainly haven't been getting ready the way that I would if I was going into a workplace. I've got my flip-flops on now for a start, so
don't spoil the illusion.
So there was originally all that extra time, but you're right, it's been very easy for that to get eaten up by doing longer hours at work. So sometimes it's about setting boundaries, you know, and doing things in a win-win way, because I'm sure you'll be putting in a lot more work than you were previously, but that's got to be a win-win for you as well. So it's making sure that you manage that.
Yeah, and this is a great one. My career gets lots of time because I'm changing jobs, but at the moment it's not there yet, so the score's low. Now, this is a great thing about doing this, is that you need to keep things conscious, because when people change careers or do whatever, get into a new relationship, then what will happen is other areas, often the time goes, and so therefore it can cause problems. So a lot of people who concentrate on career, often things like their health and fitness suffer, or their relationship suffer because of the time taken. Now, what we say is, if you're doing 7 out of 10 in an area, you're doing pretty good. Yeah, 7 out of 10, it's okay.
It's okay. It's ticking over.
Yes, there's other stuff you could do in that area if it were important. But the idea is to set goals as such, so that you keep things conscious. So for instance, because we work a lot and we put a lot of effort into what we do, not at the moment, but well, we do it with yoga now, but normally we have a personal trainer twice a week. Because we found our health and fitness was suffering.
And I know from experience that if we haven't got a personal trainer session booked in 3 times a week, I won't go to the gym. I know I won't go to the gym, but I won't let him down if I've made that commitment. So that's how we manage some stuff. So it's what can you put in place to just keep those things conscious for you, so they happen without you even thinking about it.
Yep. Do
you want to give them their homework, Mr.
Crikey,
Taylor?
that was said. So Teresa's being kind to Ed, saying gave great advice. Crikey.
I bribed her though, Mark. I'm going to send her a free signed book, so that's what that's all about.
Because I think Tony's going to go through some of these
discussions about
so.
Okay.
So if you give them their homework, and then Tony can
so
talk about some of those things.
What we do after we've done where's it? Oh, there we go. So after we've done this part of the exercise, the next bit is what would make each segment a 10
for you.
This is your homework. So you've got an idea of where things might not be quite how you would want them, maybe, but what would make it a 10? Because it may be that, I don't know, health and fitness, for instance, exercising 3 times a week for half an hour may make it a 10 for you at the moment, because 10s will vary depending on the context and where you're in your life and what's going on. What would, make finances a 10? What would make family a 10? And so concentrating on the things that you can control and influence.
Yeah.
So the things.
This is about you, not what you need someone else to do.
And so what you can control and influence, what can make it a 10 for you.
And this is why lockdown actually is a brilliant time to do this, because it may be skewing slightly your results, yet what it will do is it gives you time to reflect and also put a plan in place, so that when things do start moving, you can make sure that you are doing those things that will make it a 10 for you.
And so those 10s become goals. So written goals. If you are going to do goals, folks, make written goals, and don't just put them in a drawer somewhere. Keep them visible. Some people do vision boards, whatever.
We talk about that in the book as well.
We do, yeah. But this should be the basis of goals. And remember, if you've got a 7 or so, you're doing okay. But if you are starting a new job, give yourself a break and be kind to yourself. You may have to spend more time there. But what can you do to maintain the other areas so that they don't suffer as a result of the increased importance and time on the other area.
If they're important to you.
Yeah, if they're important. Because as I said before, when people have a child, they think nothing will change, and then relationship, they never hot meal with their partner for the first 2 years. Sex is a thing of the past. Going to the gym, forget about it. And so these things change. It's about we believe it's about keeping your life conscious. So keep things in conscious view.
So I think we'll hand over to Tony now, Mr. Taylor, because you can finish off.
I think we should. I think we've hogged it enough now, Mrs. Taylor.
I don't think it was actually me either.
You know.
Not hogging at all. You were invited to present, and we really appreciate you being here. I'm just going to share some links now in the chat to more about the book, more about the coaching and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, did you want me to put my end slide up with the details?
Yeah. Has that got your Instagram and things like that on, hasn't it?
I like that. Get a new job and a divorce.
finishing on a big one there.
Two great things to have.
If you need any advice on divorce, this is Mrs. Taylor the fourth. So she says it's Mrs. Taylor the last.
Absolutely.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, thanks guys. Thank you for being here. And thanks everyone in the chat box for being so fun. Yeah, I think that's brilliant. Although I don't think anybody thought they'd get homework on a Be More Kid workship, but that is kid life at the moment, isn't it?
What will make your life a 10 and then make your goals? But this is just our socials. If you on Facebook, if you just put in Be More Kid, then there's the Facebook group. Then on Instagram, it's Be More Kid with _ at the end. At Twitter, it's the same thing at Be More Kid _ the website, which the stuff on there, which is www.be-more-kid.com. And we actually do a podcast as well, which we're on break at the moment. But it's called the Be More podcast.
So it's not Be More Kid, it's Be More.
So if you went on to Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen to podcasts, there's loads of episodes on there. We deal with all sorts of things like anxiety. And it's just the three of us chatting. It's a bit different to most people's podcasts. And me and Ed having a bromance most of the time.
Brilliant.
It's just us. Brilliant. We just have the chat. The three of us, we pick a subject, and what we're going to do is the end of this month, bring it back, and we'll do some specific Be More Kid ones. And we're a #1 bestseller on Amazon, and it's on sale at £7.34 instead of £10.
But half the price.
There you go.
Buy it for a friend.
Life changing your life for under a tenner.
I tell you.
But thank you so much, Tony, for inviting us on, because we've loved it. And as you could probably tell, we could actually sit here and talk all night. We could talk about all of the chapters.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to talk about, a lot to say, but it's been really cool to listen to you guys, and also like to hear your stories, because I think it's so important for lots of people on this call. Like you said, the word stuck before, Ed. I think loads of us have felt like that, or do feel like that now, especially now. So to hear from people who've been there and made these changes and are now sharing it and doing great stuff, it's really cool. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Really
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And this time next week, guys, we'll be back talking about our book of the moment, Atomic Habits. We're up to the 4th law, I think, make it satisfying. And this time next month, I'm going to be interviewing, I don't know if you've seen this one already, Sarah Wilson, who is an Australian author and activist. She wrote a book called First We Make the Beast Beautiful, about mental health. And this is about how to find connection in a fractured world. So we'll be interviewing her next month. But thank you to the Be More Kid guys for being here. And thank you guys all for being here. It's been lovely to see everybody. And let's all agree that we're going to play Happy at least once tomorrow during the day, right? Because it just like it's such a mood lifter, isn't it? So yeah, it's been awesome to see you.
And just reunite with all those resources.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thanks, guys. Great to see everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye. See you. Have a nice night.
Bye.